Saints were back on the practice field, their final sort of bonus practice here of the week. No NFL games this weekend. They'll get into full game week next week. So they practice twice here this week in the bonus week. But most teams use it as an opportunity to get out, a couple of light practices, stretch your legs, get some guys healed, coming out of the preseason with your 53-man roster now set and heading into the NFL next week. Of note for the New Orleans Saints, there were a couple of key absences and remain to be a couple of key absences for LSU, for the New Orleans Saints, forgive me. There were two players that were missing of note still. Trevor Penning and Alontae Taylor continue to be missing from Thursday practice. Kellen Moore did update both of them after. Here's Kellen Moore on Trevor Penning.
Yeah, we got a few days off this weekend, and then we'll kind of see what the timelines present themselves for these guys. But he's done an awesome job. He's out of the boot now, and so that's really cool to see. And so we'll just see how these timelines play out leading up to week 1.
Okay, so waiting on Penning, but out of the boot, trending the right way. Certainly seems like that was always the timeline that he would be ready for week 1. And Alontae Taylor, here was the very, very quick update on Alontae Taylor.
Yeah, he's just continuing to go through the rehab process. So, he's doing a nice job. Feel like he's right where he needs to be. Okay,
so dealing with a soft tissue injury, talking about a groin injury for a defensive back. Clearly, that's not great. Guys that have to turn, flip their hips, and run. But, guys played, get them healthy. There'll be an injury report next week, and we'll get a deeper dive into how they're doing. One more from Kellen Moore. Now that they've named a starter and they're out of camp, he did say his role within practice and development is all going to change now that they've set their 53 and established a starter.
For myself, I'll probably spend a lot more time with the quarterbacks next week than I have all of training camp, which will be fun just because, it's just a different timeline, different obligation a little bit once you get into the season. And so, you're just continuing to have those conversations, why we're putting something in, what's the objective, we'll practice it, we'll walk it through, we'll talk it. Ultimately, I'm a firm believer guys that have confidence in certain plays, they're going to make those plays work. And so, we got to build that all week.
So the Saints, we'll talk to Mike Triplett next hour. The Saints have a little bit of a light week. They'll have the weekend to get healthy, fresh, and ready to roll when they start practice for Arizona next week. While Kellen Moore was meeting with reporters, one of the conversations was about, obviously adding Devaughn Vele, a big 6'4" receiver, which was needed. It's something we've talked about all offseason, where New Orleans has Chris Olave and Brandin Cooks, Rashid Shaheed, all under 6 feet tall. They lacked a big-bodied receiver, something that many of us thought they would address in the NFL draft. They didn't. They didn't in free agency. Instead, signed Brandin Cooks, another small receiver. And only when they got right before their third preseason game did they realize, we should probably have a big receiver. That'd probably be good to have on this team. So they traded 2 draft picks for Devaughn Vele from Denver. And Kellen Moore talked about the advantage to having that bigger wide receiver.
Big body. It's the same reason we talk about tight ends and being, a quarterback's best friend. There's big guys, there's catch radius, there's a little bit of a ability to play with your body and box people out in contested catch situations. And so, those guys show up a little bit more in the middle of the field. And so I think a lot of it has to do with the same reason we talk about tight ends, in the middle of the field. And so, we've been around a few. Remember Keenan in L.A., he was a bigger body guy, did a great job in the slot. And Vele certainly done a lot of that when we looked at the Denver film.
Okay. So he wanted a big-bodied receiver. Clearly wanted a big-body receiver. Had one in Keenan Allen. The trade for Devaughn Vele. Obviously needed a big-bodied receiver. Cool. Should I remind you that you had a big-bodied receiver that was really productive for you for half the year last year? What was his name? Marquez Valdes-Scantling. That was it. That's right. Remember last year, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he was with Buffalo and didn't really make an impact, was just sitting on his couch. And the Saints signed him when they had all the receiver injuries last year. And I'll be damned, he came to New Orleans, played really well, didn't he? I mean, in 8 games, he had 17 catches for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns. Deep threat. It's really good for New Orleans. Averaged My goodness, averaged 22.6 yards per reception. Is that good? 22.6?
That is good. Yes, confirmed.
Okay. In the NFL too. You're not Jamar Chase playing against high school kids.
Right.
This is an NFL receiver. A 30-year-old NFL receiver who averaged 22.6 yards per reception last year. You had him on your team.
You did.
He's also 6'4". Muse, how big is Devaughn Vele again? I don't have it in front of me. Do you have that?
6'4".
Got it. So you had a guy on your roster that was 6'4", who's really productive for you, and you let him go. Didn't sign him in free agency. Instead, you signed Brandin Cooks in free agency, who is smaller.
Yeah, like 5'11".
Yeah. Pro Football Reference says he's 5'10".
Oh, well, yeah. Trying to help you out there, Brandon.
And so you pay more money for Brandin Cooks, and then ultimately have to trade for Devaughn Vele to get the big-bodied receiver because you didn't draft one, and you didn't keep the one you had, and you didn't sign one in free agency. Got it. Somebody want to remind me why Mickey Loomis still has a job? There he goes again, man. Always crapping on Mickey Loomis. Because he's awful at his job. How many more times, how many more examples do you want? How many more do I need to give you? Let me spell this out very plainly. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is 30 years old. Brandin Cooks is 31 years old. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is 6'4". Brandin Cooks is 5'10". Last year, Marquez Valdes-Scantling played 8 games for New Orleans, 385 yards and 4 touchdowns. Brandin Cooks played 10 games for Dallas, 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Cooks, in 2 more games, had 120 fewer yards and 1 fewer touchdown. So Brandin Cooks is older, smaller, and less productive. But it has to make sense financially, right? That has to be the reason. No. You see, Marquez Valdes-Scantling signed with Seattle on a 1-year, $4 million deal, and the Saints gave Brandin Cooks 2 years, $13 million. So if you're scoring at home, the New Orleans Saints didn't re-sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling. They signed Brandin Cooks, who's smaller, older, less productive, and more expensive. Oh, and by the way, when you get to your 3rd preseason game and realize, we probably need a big receiver. We let the big guy who was awesome for us last year, we let him leave. We didn't draft one, and then we didn't sign any in free agency. We probably need a big receiver. What about the big kid from Denver, the former 7th-round pick? Hey, call Sean. See if Sean's got anybody. Yeah, Mick, this guy's the next Marcus Colston. You should give me 2 draft picks for him. Okay. Fleeced again, man. I mean, does this make sense? I'm not just crapping on Mickey Loomis because I find it a fun pastime. I mean, it is kind of a fun pastime. But I'm just illustrating how bad he is at his job very clearly. And I don't know that he was ever good. The more this, I'll say it again, the more the sample size grows, the more apparent it was that everything good in New Orleans was Sean Payton, Drew Brees, and Mickey Loomis was just riding sidecar. He just happened to be around there, cashing a check. Those guys leave, and this thing has gone to hell. You have the worst roster in the NFL. You're expected to have your worst season in 20 years since the Katrina season. And you continue to give up future assets to supplement a team that's not going to be good anyway. You got the worst GM in football. Maybe the worst GM in sports. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for Grandma Gail to move him out. Maybe she never will. But I'm pretty confident in saying as long as he's in that spot making the calls, you're going to continue to see this, and you're not going to be a roster that can compete for anything of significance. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.